My partner walked away expecting me to chase her and fix everything. I didn't. I chose distance and focused elsewhere. The silence that followed slowly changed the situation until she reached out under very different terms. "If you're not going to fight for us, then I'm done." Those were the last words Nina said before she grabbed her coat and walked out of my apartment. She didn't slam the door. She left it open, actually, like she expected me to follow her down those stairs, chase her to her car, beg her to stay. I stood there in my living room, listening to her footsteps fade. Then I walked over and closed the door quietly. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. I was 28 years old, 3 years into a relationship that had slowly become a performance I no longer had the energy to give. We'd been living separately but spent most nights together. Nina was 26, worked in marketing, had this infectious laugh that could light up a room. But lately, that laugh only came out around other people. Around me, everything had become a test. The silence in my apartment felt different that night. Not empty, just still. I sat on the couch and stared at the TV without turning it on. My phone stayed face down on the coffee table. I knew it would start buzzing soon. It always did. This wasn't the first time Nina had walked out expecting me to chase her. It was probably the 5th or 6th time in the past year. Each time before, I'd given it 20 minutes, maybe an hour, then called. Apologized for whatever I'd done or hadn't done. Asked her to come back so we could talk. She'd return, we'd have the same circular conversation, and things would be fine for a few weeks. Then something else would trigger the cycle again. This time felt different though. Not because the fight had been worse. We'd argued about something small, honestly. I'd made plans to go hiking with my friend David on Saturday, without checking with her first. She'd asked why I didn't think to invite her. I'd said she'd told me last month she hated hiking. She'd said that wasn't the point. The point was I should want to include her. I'd asked what she actually wanted from me. She'd said if I had to ask, I'd never understand. And then came the ultimatum. Fight for us, or she was done. My phone started buzzing around the 20-minute mark. 3 texts in rapid succession. I didn't look at them. I got up, went to the kitchen, and made myself a sandwich. Turkey and Swiss on wheat. It felt weirdly normal. The phone kept buzzing throughout the evening. Texts, then a call, then more texts. I'd silenced it by then. I ate my sandwich, took a shower, and went to bed. The next morning, I had 17 unread messages. I read them while drinking coffee. The first few were angry. "You're really not going to call me? This is exactly what I'm talking about. You don't even care." Then they shifted to hurt. "I can't believe you're doing this. After everything we've been through." Then back to anger. "Fine. If this is how you want it, we're done." I set the phone down and finished my coffee. I didn't feel triumphant or vindicated. I felt tired. Like I'd been carrying something heavy for so long that I'd forgotten what it felt like to stand up straight. I texted back a single message. "I think we both need space. Take care of yourself." Then I muted the conversation. The following days were strange. I kept expecting to feel worse. Guilty maybe, or heartbroken. Instead, I felt lighter. I went to work, came home, cooked actual meals instead of ordering takeout. I called David and confirmed our hiking plans. He asked if Nina was coming. I told him we'd broken up. He was quiet for a moment, then said, "You okay, man?" I realized I was. "Yeah," I said. "I think I am." Saturday came. David and I drove 2 hours to a trail we'd been talking about for months. The weather was perfect. Clear skies, cool breeze, the leaves just starting to turn. We didn't talk about Nina much. David knew better than to push. We talked about his job, his girlfriend Rachel, the new apartment they were looking at. Normal things. Things that didn't require me to solve an emotional puzzle with missing pieces. Halfway up the trail, my phone buzzed. I'd unmuted Nina's conversation that morning, thinking maybe enough time had passed. "I saw on Instagram that you went hiking without me." I looked at the message for a long moment. David glanced over. "Her." I nodded. "You gonna respond?" I pocketed the phone. "Not right now." We kept climbing. The view from the summit was worth every step. Rolling hills painted in early autumn colors, a lake gleaming in the distance. David took a photo of me with the landscape behind me. I posted it that evening with a simple caption. "Good day." Nina commented within minutes. "Must be nice." I didn't reply. The next week, a mutual friend reached out. Vanessa, one of Nina's college roommates who I'd gotten along with. She asked if I wanted to grab coffee. I said sure. We met at a place downtown, neutral territory. Vanessa didn't waste time. "Nina's a mess," she said. "She really thought you'd come after her." I stirred my coffee. "I know. She's been calling me every night, saying she doesn't understand what happened. We've had the same fight a dozen times, Vanessa. Nothing ever changes. Vanessa leaned back. She said you gave up on her. I gave up on the pattern. There's a difference. She watched me for a moment. You seem different. I'm not performing anymore. What does that mean? I tried to find the right words. With Nina, everything became about proving how much I cared. It wasn't enough to love her. I had to demonstrate it in specific ways at specific times, or it didn't count. I'm exhausted. Vanessa nodded slowly. She does that. I've seen it. I'm not saying she's a bad person, but I can't keep being the one who's always wrong. Have you talked to her? Like really talked? We've talked plenty. The conversation always ends the same way. I'm not enough, or I'm not trying hard enough, or I don't understand her. Vanessa sighed. She asked me to convince you to call her. Are you trying to? She smiled a little. Not really. Honestly, you look better than I've seen you in a while. I appreciated that. We talked for another hour about other things. Work, life, the usual. It felt good to have a conversation that wasn't weighed down by unspoken expectations. 2 weeks passed. I'd fallen into a new routine. Mornings at the gym before work. I'd let my membership collect dust for months. Always too tired or too stressed. Now I was there 5 days a week. Evenings, I'd been teaching myself to cook properly. Not just pasta and chicken breasts, but actual recipes. Indian curries, Thai stir-fries, homemade bread. My apartment smelled like cumin and garlic instead of stale air and tension. I'd also started reading again. Real books, not just articles on my phone. I forgot how much I loved getting lost in a story. Nina's messages had slowed down. Every few days, she'd send something. A meme we used to laugh at. A song that reminded her of me. Once, a long paragraph about how she'd been reflecting and realized she'd taken me for granted. I read them all. I didn't respond. It wasn't cruelty. I just didn't have anything to say that wouldn't restart the cycle. Then one Thursday evening, she called. I stared at her name on the screen. For some reason, I answered. Hey. Her voice was soft. Hey. I didn't think you'd pick up. Neither did I. Silence hung between us. I miss you, she said finally. Nina. I know you probably don't want to hear it. But I do. I miss you. I sat down on the couch. What do you miss? What do you mean? Do you miss me? Or do you miss having someone who drops everything when you're upset? She was quiet for a long time. That's not fair. It's a genuine question. I miss us. I miss what we had. What did we have, really? The last year, what did we actually have that was good? Her breath hitched. We had good moments. Moments, yeah? In between fights about me not reading your mind. You're being cruel. I'm being honest. For the first time in a long time. I was trying, she said, voice breaking. I was trying to make us work. By walking out and expecting me to chase you. By making me prove myself over and over. I needed to know you cared. And me telling you, showing you, being there wasn't enough. You needed the drama. She was crying now. I don't know what you want me to say. I don't want you to say anything. I think we're done, Nina. Actually done. Please don't do this. You already did it. I just stopped pretending it didn't happen. I hung up before she could respond. My hands were shaking. Not from anger. From relief. The conversation I'd avoided for months had finally happened. And I'd survived it. I didn't hear from Nina for 3 weeks after that. No texts, no calls, no Instagram comments. Part of me wondered if she'd finally accepted it. The other part knew her well enough to suspect something was brewing. I was right. David called me on a Tuesday afternoon. Rachel just told me something you need to know. Rachel and Nina worked for the same company, different departments. What's up? Nina's been telling people you emotionally abandoned her. That you gave up when things got hard. I rubbed my forehead. Of course she is. Rachel wanted you to know. She doesn't buy it, for what it's worth. She's seen how Nina operates. I appreciate the heads up. You gonna do anything about it? Like what? Defend myself to people who've already made up their minds. David was quiet. That's fair. Just wanted you to know. Thanks, man. I hung up and sat with it. The old me would have been crushed. Would have wanted to call everyone. Explain my side. Make sure nobody thought badly of me. The new me recognized it for what it was. Nina controlling the narrative because she couldn't control me anymore. I let it go. A month after our last phone call, I ran into Nina's sister at the grocery store. Carmen and I had always gotten along well. She looked uncomfortable when she saw me. Hey, she said carefully. Hey, Carmen. How've you been? Good. You? Better than I've been in a while, actually. She nodded, shifting her basket from one hand to the other. Can I say something? Sure. I know Nina's been difficult. About everything. I didn't confirm or deny. Carmen continued. She called me last week, crying about how you won't talk to her. I asked her what she expected after everything she put you through. What did she say? That you were supposed to love her enough to fight through it. Carmen shook her head. I told her that's not how it works. You can't keep testing someone and then act surprised when they stop playing the game. How'd she take that? Not well. She hung up on me. Carmen smiled sadly. But it needed to be said. You deserved better than how she treated you. Thanks. That means a lot. We chatted for a few more minutes, then went our separate ways. It was validating, hearing that from someone who knew Nina intimately. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't the villain. I'd just chosen myself for once. Winter came early that year. First snow in mid-November. I'd taken up skiing, something I'd always wanted to try but Nina had no interest in. Turned out I was decent at it. David and Rachel joined me a few times. We'd make a weekend of it, rent a cabin, spend days on the slopes, and evenings playing cards by the fire. It was during one of those weekends that Rachel brought up Nina. We were sitting around after dinner, half a bottle of wine deep. She got a new boyfriend, Rachel said casually. David shot her a look. I shrugged. Good for her. You really mean that? Rachel asked. Yeah. I hope she's happy. Genuinely. He seems nice, Rachel continued. Works in finance. Very put together. Cool. David changed the subject, but I caught Rachel watching me. Later, when David was in the bathroom, she leaned over. You really are okay, aren't you? I really am. I'm glad. You seem like yourself again. I realized she was right. I did feel like myself. Not the version of me that existed in relation to Nina. Just me. Christmas came and went quietly. I spent it with my family, which I hadn't done the past 2 years because Nina always wanted to do couple things with her family. My mom pulled me aside Christmas Eve. You look good, honey. Healthy. Thanks, Mom. I won't pry about the breakup, but I will say this. You haven't smiled like this in a long time. She hugged me, and I realized she was right. New Year's Eve, I stayed in. Ordered Thai food, watched a movie, was asleep by 11. It was perfect. January brought a cold snap and a message I didn't expect. Nina's name appeared on my phone on a Tuesday morning. Can we talk? Please. I know I don't deserve it, but I need to talk to you. I stared at it for a while. 6 months had passed since our last real conversation. I'd built a completely new life. New routines, new hobbies, new peace. Part of me wanted to ignore it, but another part was curious. I texted back. Coffee. Public place. Thursday afternoon. She agreed immediately. Thursday came. I arrived at the coffee shop first, got my usual, and sat by the window. Nina walked in 10 minutes later. She looked different. Thinner, tired. She spotted me and offered a small, uncertain smile. I nodded in greeting. She sat down across from me, hands wrapped around her cup like she was trying to warm them. Thanks for meeting me, she said quietly. You said you needed to talk. I did. I do. She took a breath. I've been in therapy. That's good. My therapist has been helping me understand a lot of things. About myself. About how I treated you. I waited. I sabotaged us, she said, eyes filling. I know that now. Every time things were good, I'd find something to fight about because I didn't believe I deserved to be happy. And when you stopped chasing me, I thought it meant you didn't care. But you'd been chasing me the whole time, hadn't you? I just couldn't see it. Nina, let me finish. Please. She wiped her eyes. I was wrong. About everything. The way I treated you. The things I said. The way I made everything your fault. You were trying. You were always trying. I just kept moving the goalpost because I was too scared to admit I didn't know how to be loved without drama. I sat back. This wasn't what I'd expected. I'm not telling you this because I want you back, she continued. I know that's not happening. I just needed you to know that I understand now. You didn't give up on me. You chose yourself. And you should have. I'm sorry I made you feel like loving me was a test you could never pass. We sat in silence for a moment. Thank you for saying that, I said finally. I needed to hear it. Did it help? Yeah, it did. She smiled sadly. Good. That's all I wanted. The new boyfriend? I asked. She looked surprised. Rachel told you? Mentioned it. We broke up. 2 weeks ago. I did the same thing to him that I did to you. He called me out on it, and I realized I haven't actually changed anything except what I tell myself. Therapy takes time. It does. She looked at me directly. Can I ask you something? Sure. Do you hate me? I considered the question. No, I don't hate you. I'm not angry anymore either. I'm just done with that chapter. She nodded, more tears falling. I don't blame you. We talked for another 20 minutes. Not about us, but about life. Her new apartment, my skiing trips, neutral things. When we stood to leave, she hugged me. I hugged her back. Take care of yourself, Nina. You too. And hey, yeah, I really am happy you're doing well. You deserve it. I believed her. We walked out together, then headed in opposite directions. I didn't look back. That evening, I sat on my couch with a book and a cup of tea. My phone buzzed. A message from David. Rachel said you met with Nina. You good? I smiled and typed back. Yeah, I'm good. And I was. The weeks that followed brought an unexpected calm. I'd expected some residual weirdness after seeing Nina, but there wasn't any. No urge to reach out, no late-night what-ifs. Just peace. I'd started taking a pottery class on Wednesday evenings. Completely random decision. I'd walked past the community center, seen a flyer, and signed up on impulse. Turned out I was terrible at it. My bowls were lopsided. My vases looked like deformed mushrooms. But it was fun. The instructor, an older woman named Margaret, found my disasters charming. You're not trying to be perfect, she said one evening. That's rare. Most people are so afraid of making something ugly that they don't make anything at all. I thought about that a lot. February brought my 29th birthday. David and Rachel threw me a small party. Just close friends, good food, no drama. Someone asked if I was dating anyone. I said no. They asked if I was looking. I said not really. And I meant it. For the first time in years, I wasn't defining myself by whether I was in a relationship. I was just living. March arrived with the first hints of spring. I got a promotion at work. Nothing massive, but meaningful. More responsibility, better pay, validation that my focus was paying off. My boss, Patricia, called me into her office the day it was announced. You've been different the past few months, she said. More present. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. I thanked her and realized she was right. I had been present. Not distracted by relationship drama, not emotionally exhausted. Just there, doing my job, doing it well. One Saturday in April, I was at the farmer's market buying vegetables for a stir-fry when I saw her. Not Nina. Someone new. She was at the tomato stand, holding 2 heirloom varieties, clearly trying to decide. The purple ones are sweeter, I said without thinking. She looked up, surprised, then smiled. Thanks. I'm making a salad and couldn't decide. Can't go wrong with either, honestly. We ended up walking through the market together. Her name was Olivia. She was a graphic designer, new to the city, didn't know anyone. We talked easily, naturally. No games, no tests, just conversation. At the end, I did something I wouldn't have had the confidence to do 6 months ago. Would you want to get coffee sometime? She smiled. I'd like that. We exchanged numbers. Our first date was simple. Coffee turned into lunch, lunch into a walk through the park. She told me about her move, her work, her terrible apartment with the leaky faucet. I told her about my pottery disasters, my skiing adventures, my love of cooking. I didn't mention Nina, not because I was hiding anything, but because she wasn't relevant. She was the past. This was the present. Olivia and I started seeing each other regularly. Nothing rushed, nothing forced. Just 2 people enjoying each other's company. She met David and Rachel after a few weeks. Rachel pulled me aside at one point. She's great. Really great. Yeah, she is. And you're different with her. Lighter. I knew what she meant. With Nina, I'd always been braced for the next test, the next fight. With Olivia, I was just myself. It was enough. We were enough. One evening in May, Olivia and I were cooking dinner at my place. She was chopping vegetables while I worked on the sauce. Music played in the background, something jazzy and smooth. Can I ask you something? She said. Sure. You've never really talked about your last relationship. Is that on purpose? I set down my wooden spoon and looked at her. It ended about 8 months ago. It wasn't healthy. I spent a long time trying to be enough for someone who didn't know what enough looked like. Olivia nodded. Did you love her? I did. But love wasn't the problem. The dynamic was. What changed? I stopped chasing. She walked away expecting me to follow, and I didn't. I chose myself instead. Olivia was quiet for a moment, then said, Good. You should choose yourself. That was it. No jealousy, no insecurity, no need for reassurance. Just acceptance. I realized in that moment how different this was. How different I was. June came with long days and warm nights. Olivia and I took a weekend trip to the coast. We walked on the beach, ate fresh seafood, stayed up late talking about everything and nothing. On the drive back, she fell asleep in the passenger seat. I glanced over at her, peaceful and trusting, and felt something I hadn't felt in years. Contentment. Not the desperate, anxious need to hold on to something slipping away. Just quiet, steady contentment. When we got back to the city, I walked her to her door. Thank you for this weekend, she said. It was perfect. It really was. She kissed me, soft and unhurried, then went inside. I drove home with the windows down, the night air cool on my face. My phone buzzed at a red light. A message from an unknown number. Hey, it's Nina. I know we haven't talked in a while. I saw on Instagram that you're seeing someone. I'm happy for you. Really, you look happy. That's all I wanted to say. I read it twice, then deleted it. Not out of anger or spite, just because it didn't belong in this chapter. The light turned green. I drove home, parked, and went inside. My apartment was exactly as I'd left it. Clean, organized mine. I made tea and sat on the couch. No anxiety about missed calls. No wondering if I'd said the wrong thing. No performance. Just me, in a life I'd built for myself. The next morning, I woke up early and went for a run. The city was quiet, the sun just starting to rise. I thought about the past year. The moment Nina walked out expecting me to follow. The choice I made to stay. The silence that followed, uncomfortable at first, then liberating. The slow rebuilding of my life into something that felt authentic. Meeting Olivia, someone who didn't need me to be anything other than who I was. I'd spent so long believing that love meant sacrifice, proving, chasing, that if I wasn't fighting for it, I didn't care enough. But I'd learned something better. Real love doesn't require you to lose yourself. It doesn't test you to see if you'll break. It doesn't make you prove your worth over and over. Real love is steady. It's being chosen and choosing without the drama. It's knowing that walking away from the wrong thing is just as important as holding on to the right thing. Nina had walked away expecting me to chase her. I didn't. I chose distance, chose focus, chose myself. And in that silence, everything changed. Not because she came back on different terms, though she did acknowledge what happened, but because I became someone who didn't need her to. I finished my run and walked back to my apartment. Olivia was coming over later for brunch. We were going to try making homemade bagels, probably fail spectacularly, and laugh about it. Simple, real, enough. I showered, made coffee, and started pulling out ingredients. My phone buzzed. Olivia's name appeared, running a few minutes late. Traffic is crazy. Save me a coffee. I smiled and typed back. Already made. Take your time. I set the phone down and got to work. The morning sun streamed through the kitchen window. Everything was exactly as it should be.